Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing today. In this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this. So make sure to stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The studio lights glowed their usual soft gold, but the atmosphere inside the live with Kelly and Mark set felt strangely heavy, like the air before a storm. Ripa sensed it the moment she walked in. She had learned, after decades on television, that some days simply felt different, charged, uncertain, brimming with something unspoken. But today wasn't just different. Today felt wrong. Mark Consuelos was already at the anchor desk, flipping through cue cards with unusual distraction. Normally, he greeted her with a teasing smile or a quick joke about how she always stole the best pens. But when he lifted his eyes this morning, his expression was tired. Too tired. "Hey," Kelly said softly, walking toward him. He forced a smile, gentle, loving, but strained. "Morning, babe." She reached out and touched his arm. It was a small gesture, but the worry already blooming in her chest made it feel urgent. "You okay?" Mark nodded, but the nod was slow, heavy. "Yeah, just feeling off." Kelly studied his face. There was a pale cast to his skin and a slight tremor in his hand as he set the cards down. Her stomach tightened. "Mark, you look exhausted. Are you sure?" "I'm fine," he said quickly, almost too quickly. "We'll get through the show, then I'll rest." Kelly didn't believe him, but she also knew how stubborn he could be. If Mark said he could make it through the show, he meant it. Still, the uneasy feeling lingered as producers buzzed around them and the countdown to air began. 5, 4, 3. The music swelled, the audience applauded, and the camera zoomed in. Kelly took a breath. Show mode activated. But Mark didn't have his usual spark. He laughed when he needed to, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He spoke, but his voice lacked its usual strength. Several times during the opening monologue, Kelly caught him pressing his fingers to his temple, like he was fighting dizziness. At one point, he subtly braced a hand on the desk to steady himself. Kelly's heart lurched. When the commercial break hit, she immediately turned to him. "Mark, what's going on? You're scaring me." He hesitated, the silence stretching too long. Finally, he said quietly, "After the show. I'll tell you after the show." Her blood ran cold. The rest of the broadcast passed in a haze of forced laughter and internal panic. Kelly kept glancing at him, counting every shallow breath he took. Mark pushed through, but she could see the effort it took, every smile, every line delivered, every tiny moment where he pretended everything was okay. By the time the cameras shut off, Kelly was already gathering her things. "Okay, let's go, now." Mark didn't argue. The news that shattered her. In the car, Mark finally spoke. "I went to the doctor last week," he said, staring out the window. Kelly's heart stopped. "Last week? What? Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to worry you," he replied softly. "I thought it was nothing, just fatigue. But the tests came back yesterday." He swallowed, his voice cracking the slightest bit. "I have a neurological illness." Kelly's breath left her body in a violent rush, like someone had punched her in the chest. No, Mark. What kind? What does that mean?" "They're still running tests to figure out how advanced it is," he said. "But the symptoms, the dizziness, the tremors, they're real." A wave of nausea crashed over her. She reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. "Why didn't you tell me right away?" "I didn't want to scare you before I knew more." He looked down, guilt pooling in his eyes. "And I didn't want to admit it to myself." Kelly's voice broke. "Mark, you're my husband, my partner. I need to know when something is happening to you. I need to fight it with you." A tear slid down her cheek before she even realized she was crying. Another followed, then another. Mark squeezed her hand weakly. "I'm sorry." She leaned her forehead against his hand, trembling. "We'll get through this, together. I don't care what it is. We'll face it." But her voice shook with fear she couldn't hide. Because deep down, she already knew this was the start of a battle they never expected to fight. A day that changed everything. Later that afternoon, they sat in the neurologist's office. Kelly clutched Mark's arm, her nails digging into his sleeve as the doctor spoke. "We are looking at a degenerative neurological condition," he explained with careful calm. "We won't know the exact type until a few more tests come back, but it does require immediate monitoring and treatment. Kelly felt the room spin. Degenerative, as in, worsening? The doctor gave a slow, sympathetic nod. Mark stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Kelly buried her face in her hands, quietly sobbing. She felt Mark wrap an arm around her, even though he was the one receiving life-altering news. "It's okay, Kel," he whispered, though his voice trembled. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." But she could hear the fear underneath his words. Her tears soaked into his shirt as she choked out, "I can't lose you. I can't." "You won't," he whispered, though neither of them knew if he was saying it for her or himself. "We'll fight. Whatever it is, we'll fight." The silent night. That night, their home, usually filled with laughter, music, the noise of life, was painfully quiet. Mark sat on the couch, staring at nothing. Kelly watched him from the doorway, her heart splintering. He looked smaller somehow, vulnerable in a way she had never seen before. She walked over and curled beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. He immediately wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. After a long silence, he whispered, "I'm scared." Kelly's breath hitched. It wasn't like Mark to admit fear. He was the strong one, the steady one, the protector. Hearing those words shattered something inside her. "I'm scared too," she whispered back, her voice breaking. "But I'm not going anywhere. Not for 1 second." Mark closed his eyes, leaning his forehead against hers. "Promise?" She cupped his face with trembling hands. "I promise." And then the tears came again, quiet, helpless, unstoppable. She cried for him, for the uncertainty, for their future suddenly painted in shades of fear. Mark gently wiped those tears away, though his own eyes glistened. "Hey," he murmured, trying to lighten the moment, "we're still us. We've been through everything together." "We've never been through this," she whispered. "No," he admitted, "but we will be okay, one day at a time." Kelly couldn't speak. She simply wrapped her arms around him and held on, as if sheer love could keep him safe. The next morning, when morning came, Kelly woke before dawn. She found Mark sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, staring out the window as the first streaks of sunlight touched the sky. He looked peaceful, but fragile. She walked over, placing her hands on his shoulders. "How are you feeling?" "Scared," he said softly. "But, okay, I'm glad you're with me." "Always," she whispered. He took her hand. "We need to tell the kids soon." Kelly nodded, tears building again. "I know. And maybe the audience eventually." Kelly swallowed hard. She had never imagined the possibility of announcing something like this publicly. But she also knew Mark. He believed in honesty, in transparency, in facing things head-on. She squeezed his hand. "We'll tell them when you're ready." Mark exhaled slowly. "I'm not ready, but I will be." Kelly bent down and kissed the top of his head, letting her tears fall freely. "I love you so much." "I love you too," he whispered. Facing the fight, later that day, Kelly helped Mark into the car for another round of tests. As she buckled him in, she caught a small tremor in his hand again. Her chest squeezed painfully. But this time, instead of letting fear win, she took his shaking hand, kissed it, and whispered, "We're going to fight this. Every day. Together. You're not alone." Mark looked at her with tear-filled eyes. "I know." And as they drove away, the future still uncertain, Kelly realized something. Yes, she was heartbroken. Yes, she was terrified. Yes, she cried until she had no tears left. But she was also stronger than she ever knew. And for Mark, she would be unstoppable. Whatever the illness, whatever the battle, whatever came next, they would face it, hand in hand, heart to heart, together.